go. All right. So here we are. Last part, last stretch. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, baby.
I had a decent day at work, and now I get to cap it off with yapping with my friend. So I'm not complaining.
Yay, I'm her friend.
I didn't know I was a friend.
That's crazy.
Of course, you're a friend.
Nah, you're an enemy. Enemy of the state. All right. So to
Yeah, it's
recap
more than
last time on
autistic.
Avatar, we gave the most award to Shotgun King and did not expect to be fun. And I don't know if we had the dancing engineer last time, but we do this time. But yeah. To be clear, like least and most doesn't mean like bad or good. It just means that there's the least stuff and most stuff. But anyway, let's move on to placement number 3. We have Class 3E and Koro Sensei. All right.
Oh my freaking god! What?
Yeah.
Assassination
this is crazy.
Classroom.
Assassination
Holy
Classroom.
crap!
Yes,
Yeah.
it's the entirety of the show or manga.
I think it's like it goes further than the show.
yes.
Yeah.
It's beyond
It's like fan
what
fiction
it
even.
was.
All right. So, I can go ahead and introduce this brew unless someone else wants to. But yeah, I'm up to yap. So, with this brew, we have Kuro Sensei Companion. He starts at 15 health, and every turn he'll go back to 15 health. And you will have access to this passive that, based off of what you roll, will deal damage to Kuro Sensei. And if Kuro Sensei ends up between 1 and 4 health, you get a correct grade. Otherwise, you get an incorrect grade. So, the core sort of mechanic of this is like trying to kill Kuro Sensei. Because once Kuro Sensei is dead, then instead of damage being dealt to him, damage will be dealt divided by 5 to your opponent. So instead of like doing 10 damage to this guy, you do 5 to your opponent. Or like instead of doing 11, you do 3, which is pretty nice. So it's also not just modified by these symbols. So if you rolled like this exactly, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It would also increase by 1 for each of the students you have in play. Oh, sorry that I dealt those out. But yeah, all the upgrades are students, and all of them will make your ability a little bit stronger, and also provide +1 damage to your ability to hit Kuro Sensei. As you can see here with the student's entry. So what grades do is correct grades will increase your outgoing damage by 1, and incorrect grades will decrease your outgoing damage by 1. And when you get an incorrect grade, you also search your deck for one of your ability upgrades, and then you put it into your hand. Also, you can only have 3 grades at a time, or 2 grades on another opponent. And if you were to have more grades, you have to flip one over. Finally, there's Guidebook, which is just a token that's so wild. You just get to change the dice to any dice. It's crazy. So when you actually look at the board itself, other than the passive, you have relatively fundamental abilities. This one's kind of interesting that you get an incorrect grade, and then you afflict an incorrect grade on your opponent. And you also get to remove your incorrect grade. You get, like... Guidebook is pretty difficult to get on this kit. You have to either get it with Science, which is like a pretty rough ability, or Social Studies, it's pretty hard to roll.
It does kind of make sense considering Guidebook is such a powerful token, but
yeah,
it feels kind of superfluous.
We'll get to that.
I'm okay with the Guidebook being like difficult to access, but like yeah, it is like so difficult that it doesn't come up a lot, which is probably for the best because the token is very warping, right?
Yeah.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really come up in like my math all that much when I try to play the guy. But I get what you mean.
I mean, when you have it, it's just so wild. It's crazy.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah. So when you're like playing this character, you want to be like you want to be like hitting your opponent and then getting your correct or incorrect grades. Your incorrect grades are really nice because you get to tutor something up. Your correct grades are nice because obviously increasing your damage is nice. Now, there is another part of the mechanic where if Kuro Sensei dies because you're being attacked and you use your defense, then you take 5 damage. But if you kill Koro Sensei on your turn, your opponent takes 5 damage. All right. So
And then something to keep in mind though with that, if once Korra is dead, you no longer have a defense. Assuming you don't roll Nagisa, but that's
you
neither here nor there.
yeah, you will usually by the time that Koro Sensei dies be able to pick out this defense as a defense upgrade and just kind of like replace this.
Sure.
But yeah. All right. So I think that about covers the general outline of the mechanics. So let's talk about like general impressions of the characters. So why did we give this 3rd place, and what do everyone think of it? So
It's got a good,
go
well,
on.
it's got a good, it's got a good flow to it. Its play dynamic of filling up the students and trying to build up killing Koro Sensei over time is like actually fun. Like
Yeah.
I did not expect it to. It's like a pretty simple system.
Yeah, there's like some awkwardness to the wordings and timing, but it's fairly intuitive once you get the hang of it, and it all flows fairly naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the thresholds too work pretty well.
Do you have any comments, Gerald?
All of the comments I had were already said.
Brilliant. Okay. So yeah, I will note that like this is this designer's first homebrew, and I think that like there are a lot of like rough details here, but overall, I think that they showed a really good sense of restraint in not overdoing stuff, and also did a good job in like trying to recognize their vision of the gameplay, and the vision of the gameplay turned out to be relatively fun. So let's go over scoring now. We have opponent fun at 19 out of 30. Oh, sorry. You write it down.
I have the yellow marker.
Yo!
Yes, you have the Korra
Let's
Sensei ink.
go.
It's thematic or something. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about how this feels to play against someone else.
I mean, I can try.
Go nuts.
So playing against the character, there's somewhat the 2 phases thing involving your friendly bodyguard over here, Koro Sensei. With the help of the defense being able to sometimes just kill him early, and you get like this big bonus, means that the opponent doesn't want to have Koro Sensei between 1 and 4, but over here they want to get that anyway to get these correct grades. Very nice. Outside of that, the character does not stop you from playing basic dice throne. So, is fun in that case.
One thing for me that one of the big things for me that just kind of brought up originally is how warping the defense upgrade Nagisa is. Like even outside of the whole deal one just roll 4 dice, 1 XA gain CP on B. Like even outside of that, the fact that it means that the opponent no longer has any chance to interact with Koro Sensei, to me, removes a lot of the kind of tension, a lot of the draw of that whole gimmick. Because at least to me, it would add a fair bit of stress to my roles if I was playing Koro Sensei. Because like if I get him low enough, but not enough to actually fully kill him, there's a real chance of him dying on when my opponent hits it, when my opponent goes for their attack, and then I get blown up and lose a lot of value or advantage or whatever you want to call it. But then if I just get out Nagisa, then it's like I don't care anymore. I just build up numbers and yeah.
To be fair, I do think that I agree that there ought to be some interaction with Koro Sensei, and that's like missing as soon as you put this down. But I do think that this wouldn't be the way I would want there to be interaction with Koro Sensei. Like needing to hit a defense in order to punish your opponent doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Which I don't really mind this upgrade because I don't think that like I'm particularly attached to this dynamic of interaction. I do think that there should be some kind of interaction if it's going to be like this big part of the kit, but I don't actually mind this defense upgrade so much. I actually think it's kind of interesting because this is giving you like a lot more delta in preventing damage, which is very important for Assassination Classroom as they scale over time. But this one does not prevent any damage, so there is a little bit of tension there, in that you don't really care about this damage all that much, and like obviously this gives you more CP, but this costs so much CP that it's like it's not paying itself off, right?
It does have some damage prevention.
The CC doesn't count. It's not text. Like, that's bloat, honestly. But we'll get into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, overall, it's like a pretty low interactivity kit, which is why this doesn't score particularly high. But again, it's not offensive, right?
Yeah. It's just solid.
It's fine. So, mechanic/theme. You have this at a 16 out of 20. Yay. So who wants to yap about that? Well, I suppose I can. Oh, go on.
I'll just kind of say quickly is that this very much does feel like the vibe of this show, in a sense. Because the question is, like, assuming you're playing the character semi-competently, Kuro Sensei is going to die. Full stop. The whole matter, then, the whole point is when is he going to die, and controlling that is a neat part of the gimmick, which also feels very apt for this show. So flavor when there, it works really well for Doomed as the concept as well. Some parts of it do kind of fall apart when it comes to how he plays after Goro's died and like grades in general, but those are minor gripes. Still works really well.
Yeah, I read the manga. I really enjoyed Assassination Classroom. Probably one of my favorite manga. Yeah, Koro Sensei. It does feel like Koro Sensei is like actively trying to help you kill him, which is really fun. It's like, oh yeah, you're actually doing stuff. But yeah, the gaining of the grades is cool. The grades as like a mechanic are kind of, they're funky. I don't think they work as well as you want them to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, we're rating the dial mechanic and the theme of Doomed. I think that this does an okay job at representing the Doomed sort of idea, because like, yeah, he is going to die. In terms of like relation to the source material, I'm not 100% sold on, because like right now, Koro Sensei feels surprisingly squishy for someone who's meant to be like this world-ending level threat and like, you know, like nearly god tier nonsense, but he just feels kind of squishy. But divorced from the source material, I think it completely works, right? In terms of it being like Doomed, so I wasn't docking any points there personally. Now, how the mechanic actually works itself, it's like, it's fine. I don't mind it so much, but I do wish it was simplified. Like, I think that 15...
Oh, it could be definitely simplified
Oh, yeah,
too.
it can be so much simpler, especially that passive.
I think that's a general point of the whole kit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some cool ideas, but it needs some tuning, needs some refining.
But yeah, I think that overall does a very solid job at that. And it's not like, I don't think it's like blowing my mind or anything. Oh yeah, there's this guy, he's going to die. But it is overall pretty cool, and 16 out of 20 is, you know, I think solid, right? So next up we have engagement. 13 out of 20. All right. So how do people feel playing this brew?
And again, kind of once I kind of wrapped my head around the sort of, not sure what the proper term is, idiosyncrasies maybe of timing when it comes to things like the passive and incorrect rate and stuff. It did start to flow fairly well, and it did a really good job at least keeping me engaged, because I probably am a bit, do have bit of attachment to the source material, and so like my memories of the show was kind of helping carry and possibly smoothing over some of the rougher spots. Like that one card that is the 5-6 attack mod that sort of completely changes how the passive plays for that one turn, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's intentional. Like, this technically re-rolls your dice and therefore makes it show different faces and therefore changes this. I don't think it's supposed to.
Yeah, it clearly wasn't, but at the moment, it still was something I was still just. It
Yeah.
clearly does not. That clearly is not what the intention was, but as written, that is how it plays.
Yeah, and that is a bit of a clarity thing, but overall, like, I was playing it as though it worked like, these are just different things, right? Like, this is just based off your roll, this is just like an additive, some 2.5 damage or whatever.
Right.
So, okay, so, like, I don't think that's something I would really dock points for, because, like, I think that's just, like, weird dice throw nonsense.
Yeah,
And-
I'm not talking
yeah.
points for that. I'm just saying that like parts like that. Again, it probably would have maybe judged a little bit more harshly if it wasn't already fairly attached to the source material. It was kind of smoothing over some of the awkwardness in my head.
Yeah. So what I will say is that overall, I think this character does a pretty good job in everything feeling like it contributes. Like, I think that there's definitely pain points on it, though. For example, I think that this is probably not necessary. I think this is probably better as just 2 status effects instead of having it be a flip mechanic, because this rarely ever comes up. I also think, like, as I mentioned, like, I don't particularly like how this interacts with Koro Sensei. Like, I think that there ought to be some interaction with Koro Sensei, but I think that just randomly killing Koro Sensei on your defense and then swinging 10 delta away from the classroom doesn't really feel like a particularly interesting addition to the kit, right? Like, it is a dynamic, and I think that there is a way to realize a dynamic. It's just that as is, I don't think it really works very well, especially because you can just tutor up this defense upgrade if you're at all worried about it and never have to worry about it again, right?
Right.
Also, the students, I think, and like the whole grade system and second blade and whatnot, definitely leave something to be desired. Like, right now, these are taking up, like, a lot of your space and a lot of your options, and they're all very simple, which I don't really mind that they're simple, because, in a sense, like, if these were more complicated, it would make the search space when you get an incorrect grade, like, really rough, right?
Yeah, and also, they're probably simple because of the amount of complexity for them also feeds back into second blade.
Yeah, but
That's why a lot of them are just strict numbers.
Yeah. I think I would prefer a version of this that's more like Black Widow and letting you have more personality and interesting stuff on these students. Right now, there is like a pretty plain board, and I know that this is talk about elegance, but yeah. I suppose that means that we should move on to engagement, because it kind of feels like that's what we're talking about now, right?
Or rather, move on to elegance, rather, because we were just on engagement.
Oh, wait.
Move on to elegance.
I got these things mixed up.
Well,
I'm so bad at this.
We might as well move on to elegance at this point, yeah.
Yeah. 8 out of 15. Yeah, sorry, I got these 2 mixed up. They were crunched up in my head.
All good.
So, yeah. The engagement of this character is like hampered by how much this stuff is plain, and also the second blade mechanic just being a lot of counting when it could be a lot less. Like, you could definitely find a way to simplify this math.
It'd be a lot less granular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be so specific. Like, divided just my mind always keeps going back to is the final clause about dividing the assassination damage by 5. Like, it is very doable, but it is a lot of mental load for something that is on average somewhere between 2 and 4 damage.
Yeah.
Like 4 damage on the high end.
Yep.
Might as well just cut out a lot of that text and just add 3 damage or something like that, and you'll get the same effect off with a lot less mental.
I agree with CJ here. Yeah, I guess that's about it, right? I don't think there's a whole lot more to say here, because hey, these kit cards are fortunately not too complicated. Okay. So is there anything else to note about elegance or engagement?
Timing shenanigans with the grades, like especially
Yeah.
incorrect grades, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Dice thrown weirdness. We can fix it in post. Pshaw.
Yeah, if shit like Crimson Band can exist, then this could exist.
So finally, we have uniqueness, and we have uniqueness at a 14 out of 15. Yeah, this is a pretty unique character, I think. Like, I don't think we really see this kind of like weird Black Panther, well, not Black Widow, and like counter and like I think the fact that this counter is very dynamic really bumps up this uniqueness score, because like it has so many ways that it can go up. I guess so many ways it can go down, right? And it then, like as noted, flows with the rest of your kit in a very interesting way. So yeah, someone else want to talk about how this character is unique? We should single out Wonk.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, zones out really hard.
Uniqueness score 14 out of 15. Justify it. Justify it, Wonk.
Okay, so when I first saw this, I was like, damn, this is kind of like Hazel and Magnet. But like, then I realized you want to kill it, and it was like, holy shit. It was like kind of flipped the narrative.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
And it like
You
cycles
say
back
that
to
without
full.
food in your face? Say that without food in your mouth, maybe?
I'm sorry, I'm eating tater tots.
Okay, valid.
So it feels like when I first played it was like kind of felt like I was like, oh, Hazel and Magnet kind of thing. Except it was like the opposite. It's like, oh, you want to kill it, and then it like resets to 15 every turn rather than it being just like a thing you gotta figure out. So it's like an over time you gotta build up your resources. I don't think there's anything like it.
I think there are things like it where you build up
Like
resources
similar-ish.
to
Yeah.
overcome a problem. But I think this presentation and also like its relationship to upgrades is very interesting, and how it plays with the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I especially do like science. I do think that the guidebook is probably better overall, but obviously like you're getting more of these upgrades and you want to get them out. So there's actually like a good argument that 2 CP is like worth a lot on this kit.
Yeah, it does a fair amount with relatively simple bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's a very unique gameplay experience. So
Yeah.
14 out of 15. And this is a relatively simpler homebrew, so I think we can probably about call it there and go on to the awards for Koro Sensei. Koro Sensei, you get 2 awards. We got, wow, this is your first homebrew? We can't believe it. Like this is like genuinely like a really cool concept. I think that you landed it with a lot of restraint and good sense of design. So this getting like this award just makes a lot of sense to us. And then you get the Subway Surfers Award. Okay, so let's move on to second place.
Oh, don't forget all the cards.
Of course. Gotta get the students in there. Wait, would you put the sub... Okay. Let me get the Subway Surfers out of here. Oh, no. No, the Subway Surfers broke. No!
Oh, it's busted again! No! Ah, crud. I'm sorry.
Perfect timing.
Oh, well.
Crud, I'm sorry.
Say la vie.
It's no longer
Yeah, it was there while it was fun while it lasted.
All right.
All of those 30 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Time for number 2.
Number 2. Doom.
Doom is no man's second choice.
What is this thing, like King of Latveria or something?
I don't know.
Or
Yes, he is the ruler of Latveria, among a bunch of other things.
Bunch of other nonsense, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, did you know he was Sorcerer Supreme once?
Dang.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I did start off, so I guess I'll kind of talk about it a bit. So, case it kind of wasn't clear, Doctor Doom's main gimmick is Doom, a stats effect that penalizes you for drawing cards. And then if you draw enough cards, or rather take enough damage from them, you then have to discard a whole bunch of your cards. Alongside that, next, Doctor Doom has a bonus where instead of you taking like all their damage from Doom, you do a whole bunch of stuff based off of your ultimate. So you gain Crackle and you like CP, a whole bunch of other stuff. Then you have Tele Energy, a really, really neat stats effect, which lets you spend to draw and discard or gain Crackle and draw, which is again just a neat little thing. Confusion is a stats effect that hits you if you have more confusion than you do cards in your hand. It's fairly straightforward and it works. And then Crackle. We all know Crackle. Spend it, you add damage based on the amount of other stats effects you have. It's a neat little thing.
Yeah.
That just like standard 3-2-1 dice anatomy, fairly standard board.
Yeah. Instead of the basic, you have the setup ability, which is interesting.
Sure.
We never gave the final tally on the previous homebrew.
Oh, final tally.
70 out of 100.
70 out of 100. Even 70.
Yeah.
My bad. Anyway, don't worry about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, something that's like going on with Doctor Doom that I quite like is he just has like all these different damage engines just like running at all times. You gotta kind of juggle them. So Doom is a damage engine. Every time they draw a card, they take damage, right? And then Confusion, once your opponent has too much confusion, they start like getting hit. And Crackle, obviously, like you want to get Crackle, and then also you'll have trouble like holding on to a bunch of Tele Energy or a bunch of Crackle in this kit, but you can also give yourself Confusion to help bump up your Crackle energy as well, which is a fun, I think a really fun dynamic with this kit is like just using a little bit of Confusion to help yourself. All right. So, yeah, I guess that kind of sells the overall concept of Doctor Doom. So let's go into the scoring. For the opponent fun, we have 26 out of 30. All right. So how does this character feel to play against?
Pretty silly, goofy.
Pretty decent. Defense is kind of a little nutty because Tele Energy can let Doom draw 2 cards, which is always pretty good. His abilities are a little bit on the safe side, and probably a little too pushed in general, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like Confusion and Doom are both really cool to play around.
Yeah, I do think that like playing around this stuff is cool.
Yeah, playing around it, like Confusion being inflicted on the defense is like, oh dang, so if you hit the defense too much and you don't have enough economy, you're like get screwed over time. That's like a cool little gimmick. And then like having the Doom thing of like, do I have to draw my card? Like how many cards am I able to draw?
Yeah, you
it's
almost you almost get to like sort of choose the type of Doctor Doom you play against depending on depending on how you try to run into them.
Yeah.
Because inevitably they're probably going to focus on either giving you a lot of Doom or giving you a lot of Confusion and trying to go for one way or the other. And both ways suck for quote unquote. Not suck, but they
hurt.
They're hurt.
So also something that's really cool about this is that he's a bit of a group hug control, which you don't really see. And like he makes your opponent draw cards, right? He'll make you draw cards off of this. He can also make you draw cards off of Tele Energy. On paper, the 1 Tele Energy effect to make yourself draw 2 and discard 1 is like really strong. And it is, and probably a little bit too good. But the 2 Tele Energy effect at times can be better than it. Like if your opponent has 2 Doom. Because then what you can do is like force them to draw 1 card off their turn, which doesn't pop the Doom, but does make them take 2 damage. Which is like, it is fun to get those extra cards, even though they hurt, right?
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Overall, I'll say that like what's kind of holding back this fun factor is just the overall level of polish on Doctor Doom is not quite there, and like he's still a very good time to go up against. Like 26 out of 30 is incredible. But yeah, definitely has room for improvements, and that's mostly in just general polishing and balance. So next up we have mechanic and theme. So Dr. Doom's mechanic is Doom. Theme is Doomed, and his mechanic is the Confusion token.
Crackle token.
Crackle token. Well, it was both. I guess it was uses both. All right, you know what? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We get 16 out of 20.
Sure. Yeah, round up for theme, round down for mechanic.
So overall, like I think this character does a really good job of making the opponent feel like they're getting like crushed on all sides, right? Like there's so many different ways that Dr. Doom's generating value and like just like killing you over time. Like the Doom token really hurts, and like his signature token, right? You gotta discard random cards, it makes you take a bunch of damage. I do also like how it has a bit of a safety valve, and that it can't just you can't just put 3 of them on your opponent, and then like you play triple up, or you take 9 or something. So yeah.
I think it uses Crackle pretty well.
Mhm.
Because, like, since it's very hard to actually get a bunch of tele energy, you want to actually just...
Build up a bunch of confusion, which is risky.
Yes. You build up, like, 2 confusion, and suddenly all of your Crackles are, like, significantly better. Great. But now you're nerfing yourself overall. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very neat little dynamic.
Yeah.
It is super solid.
So next up we have engagements. So for engagement we have 14 out of 20. So overall, this kit again, it's suffering from that overall like polish, and like because it was on a tighter time schedule, unlike our judging process, which was not on a tight time schedule. I think that this character has just like a couple abilities and like uninteresting cards that just leave it lacking in feeling like it is as interesting as it could be, but it still is a fun time. Still is a great time, right?
Looks at armor overload.
Yeah. So you look between these 2 abilities, right? Inflict Doom, gain confusion, deal 7. Like the gain confusion is not that bad. Inflicting Doom is crazy, right? Because Doom at least will make your opponent take 3 damage and discard a card at random. Like that's the minimum case for it. So this is like a crazy ability. And the confusion fuels your Crackle, so that's also like not even a downside. And then Plasma Beam is that you give yourself Doom and you inflict confusion, you deal 9. I suppose the concept is that getting Doom is a good thing because of this effect on Doom, but I don't think it quite connects in a way that like, this is a very accessibility and this is like very difficult. And then we also get a lot of cards that are just kind of uninteresting, like reroll up to 3 of your dice, get a Crackle.
Wow.
This one's like cool, but like why does it cost 3?
Yeah.
Like
you're giving your opponent 2 cards.
And it's like a lot of these cards are just I think like quite lackluster. And it does kind of like hurt when you're in the middle of the game. Like, oh yeah, I love like the core of the kit. I love how everything's running. But then the cards show up. It's like, these are lame. They could be so cool. There's so much design space to make them cool in this kit, right?
Yeah.
The last thing is that tele energy I think isn't as interesting to spend as you'd want it to be. Because right now, like, making yourself draw 4 cards, that's fucking crazy, right? Like, why would you ever want to make your opponent draw cards, or why would you ever want to like let your opponent draw a card and like you draw a card, you get a Crackle, make them take 2 damage of Doom? I don't know, just draw 4 cards. Yeah. Because like using 2 tele energy to make yourself like draw 4, discard 2, right? That's like really good.
Yeah, it's significantly better. You could say, like,
that much digging cannot be understated.
Yeah, and you could like say, like, I don't know, once per turn, but like, even still.
Yeah. I think like if it was each player draws 2 and discards 1, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it becomes a meaningful decision.
But like right now, it is like just so painful, and like you're not giving this card draw to your opponent to make them draw take damage off of Doom, which I think was the idea, but it is not worth doing. That is just a misplay.
Yeah, there's no reason to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I do think that like one energy make everyone draw a card is like might be an issue with like 2 Doom stacking and they take 2 damage every turn, and like no. But right now, like this is not all that interesting of a decision.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Elegance at a 12 out of 15.
Pretty elegant. There's not many rules questions.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's very fundamental.
Yeah.
Very lean, with a couple of exceptions. Mainly that final clause on Doom.
When Doom
Yeah,
has few of these tokens.
and some of the abilities being kind of awkward. Like,
Yeah.
why does Plasma Beam do so much less than Armor Overload for such a harder roll objective?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
other than that, like, yeah, he is quite good. The components do work really well together for the most part.
Exactly. Like there's just and like most of this stuff is just like polishing details. It feels like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything aligns together.
So finally,
Yeah,
we
nothing
have
like really sticks out as bad or whatever.
uniqueness, which we have scored at a 15 out of 15. Perfect uniqueness. We genuinely don't see a lot of this. Go on, Mark.
Yeah, the only other brew I could like consider close to this is like Plague Doctor, but like that doesn't use cards. It uses like negative status effects. This uses like tons of card messing and like
Yeah.
It's
mentioned
cool.
that group hug control thing before, and he just be saying that this kind of gameplay pattern does not really exist both among homebrew or official, and it's really cool that this is the one that's kind of leading the charge on that sense.
Yeah, it's a really fun dynamic too. Like, cause like you're playing against it, and like yeah, you're getting some resources here and there, but like damn, you're also getting hit like with bricks, and like you kind of want to find a way out, which you do have ways out, but like yeah, it still stings the whole way.
Yeah.
So yeah, with just like a little bit of extra tuning, I genuinely think that this could get up to like 100 out of 100, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just
well, without a doubt.
Like more interesting cards, more balanced abilities, and like fixing up the tele energy, and like probably dropping that last clause on Doom, or like just making it much simpler. Like activating your ultimate but not the damage, and then not taking the damage, and then removing the tokens. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like dropping the last clause makes the character I think more interesting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it means because that clause means there's basically no downside to actually giving yourself a lot of Doom.
Well, there is downside. You take damage every turn.
There's downside, you take damage. Yeah.
Right, but you also don't.
It's a lot less risky.
You also don't take the damage if you get 3 of them, though. And then basically kind of has like a mini kinetic energy kind of thing. And
yeah, I guess the dynamic is meant to be that you want to be like giving yourself a lot of Doom somehow. Like you get 1 Doom, and now I want to get 2 more. You don't have a lot of ways to get Doom other than like power play. And Plasma Beam is a very difficult ability to access, so it's not really on the table. So it's kind of like you activate power play 3 times in a row, or you use a card to give yourself the 3rd Doom, or like a 2nd Doom and a 3rd Doom. It's like, it doesn't quite work, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's alright. Okay. So, yeah, anything else to note about Dr. Doom?
Not really. I think we're good.
Pretty simple, works really well.
Yeah.
So then, Dr. Doom wins the... Oh, wait, what was the whole award name? God.
Which one?
Black Panther Award.
The Black Panther Award.
Yeah. That is the Black Panther Award for the lowest level of locatiousness relative to the amount of artistry in the pursuit of creative expression and design mastery and dice on innovation. Also known as the BP Award, because we couldn't be ours to write down the whole thing, apparently. And the secretly an official hero award.
Official hero.
I think this could be like an official hero. Like, this is pretty close. Not exactly, but like again.
Like the Shadow Thief counter.
Yeah. There's like a couple of.
Yeah.
I don't think it is a Shadow Thief counter. I think Shadow Thief.
No, it's not. Yeah, Shadow Thief probably wins.
Yeah, Shadow Thief still wins 110% of the time.
Shout out to
But this also still feels like something that would be part of like Marvel Dice Throne Wave 2 or Wave 3 or whatever they're up to.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that wraps up Dr. Doom, and now it's time for the number 1 spot.
Which you can probably figure out by process of elimination.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not everyone like knows all 10 of the contestants.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Wonder
do
who
this
the
shit then.
last one is.
It's Doom Guy.
God,
Yeah.
it's Doom again.
Number
Doom
2 is
Guy.
Doom. Number 1 is Doom. Number 3 is the yellow guy.
A doomed character? Holy shit.
Yeah, wow, Doom.
I wonder
I
what
wonder
I
what this
Doom
says
is.
about society.
Yeah. All right.
Rating
We-
Bruise is temporary, but Doom is eternal.
This is the
Oh my
sound that Doom
God.
Guy makes when he walks into a wall. That's crazy.
You gotta edit in like BFG 9000 over this.
No. Okay. So-
It's Doom time.
Yeah, go ahead. Introduce the brew.
I get to do it.
Yes.
All right, so here's Doom Guy. Doom Guy's main mechanics include not having a defense and these demons. Demons will give the opponent, I believe, benefits
Yeah, opponent.
during their turn, and each individually have their own health. You, as Mr. The Guy, can, on your turn, choose to attack those demons instead of the opponent, dealing health damage as normal. Then when you kill them, you get a benefit based on the massacre bonus. And then they go away.
It's actually good. Actually, speaking of that, it's a good thing you have the Hell Knight out because he mentioned Doom Guy not having a defense. He does have a defense in a sense, in that if you hit him hard enough, he then gets to hit you harder because he then gets to, on his next turn, just roll more dice up to a total of 10.
Yes. His actual main gimmick is that all of the damage that he takes is gonna make him kill you faster, or he just sometimes, or usually, as Mr. The Guy here, you will end up just,
Just rolling a casual 10 dice, ripping and
I wonder
tearing
what I
until
got.
it is done. Ripping and tearing until it
Yeah,
is
it's a
done.
large straight.
The final form of Storm's Tornado.
Yep. Man, I kind of want to go for a different attack. Let me keep this, and this, and then roll all these. Whee!
I'm glad you're
Oh,
having
would you
fun
look
with
at
like
that.
having a lot of dice.
Yeah.
But okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Yeah.
it's
This is
Yes.
like
Yes.
this is like the true Ameritrash dice
Yes.
throne.
Yeah.
Yo, Mega
Yes.
Straight.
Alongside of that, you have Flame Belch, which is basically just a little one of the few pieces of sustain, actually one of the only pieces of sustain in Doom Guy's kit.
It's healing targeted.
In that you heal someone when you hit them with an attack. And then Crucible Charges, which does a lot of stuff. You can have up to 3 at a time. You can spend one of them to reroll a die. You can spend 3 to either get an extra die to spend immediately just wipe out a demon, or just hit everyone for a certain amount based on the amount of 6s you got.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also 2-2-1-1 Dice Anatomy.
Of course. So, yeah. That about like covers the general gameplay of the kit. So let's move on to scoring. So first of all, we have how fun is this to play against? 30 out of
Oh
30.
yeah.
Yeah, this is sick to play against. It's
Getting
actually...
Getting buffs is like so cool.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh
You just get
my, I just hit Doom Guy for 16. Oh no, Doom Guy hit me and everyone else for 16. Ah.
Yeah. It's a very
It
fun
it
time.
it speeds up the game like Pyromancer, but in a much more fun and dynamic way.
Yeah,
Plus, also some of these demonic influences, the passives from the demons, are fucking insane. But that's what makes them so fun. Because they're not like permanent, and you have very clear incentives to want to try to get rid of them, and you have enough damage to make up for that fact.
Yeah.
It's a very cool balancing after trying to actually hit your opponent and trying to hit the demons.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, like when you're fighting against Doom Guy, you really do have just like, you will typically just want to be hitting for like 7, maybe 0, and like, you know, you can like try to bide your time, but if you do just like, you know, do non-damaging abilities, he does eventually just kind of like hit you hard enough that you die. I mean, if you just sit around doing nothing all day, right? He has ways
That's with
to,
any hero.
well, he has ways to like make up for that. But it is like this sort of interesting thing of like, oh, I want to try and hit you, but like, but not that hard. And that does like change up your rolls just enough that like,
Yeah, and
yeah, go on.
and also, most of your demons emphasize attacking.
Yeah.
It like makes you want to attack, so you're losing value if you're not attacking.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is very Doom. It is very Doom in that you constantly want to be doing things. Like,
yeah.
the whole point is rip and tear until it is done.
So yeah,
It
there's
is
like,
not done, but you are not ripping and tearing. Thus, you are not being Doom Guy. What the fuck is wrong with you?
yeah, I do like the tension between all that. So yeah, 30 out of 30. There's much else to say. So next up we have theme. So the theme of this
Ooh.
character is Doomed, and the mechanic are these unique cards, are these demons that are showing up, and dying like fodder, which also gets a 20 out of 20.
It just is
Yeah.
done in an incrable way.
Yeah,
You
like,
know they're gonna die. You just gotta figure out when.
yeah, they
Great
do
art,
feel like they're
Gameplay
doomed.
win,
Yeah,
flavor win. Like,
they are
I was
destined to die.
about to say 10 out of 10 no notes, but 20 out of 20 no notes.
Yeah, like these guys are going to die, right? They are destined to throw themselves at Dude Guy and fucking explode into a pile of viscera and nonsense. It's great. And I think it really does fit the theme. So next up we have engagement. So we have 38 out of 30, 28 out of 20, and for engagement we have 18 out of 20. Stumbled.
There's something called rolling less dice.
Yeah. So the reason that we gave this 18 out of 20 is because the character's board does not feel particularly coherent when you're rolling 5 or even like 6 dice at times. Like, the abilities I think are just not very well balanced for having a low quantity. So you look at, like heavy cannon is like the big sort of offender here, but there's also other couple issues. So with heavy cannon, it's like these are all Bs, but if you get 5 Bs, right, like this is a crazy difficult thing. You get 8 damage, which is like, obviously you could have more, but then you don't. But okay, well, what if you get 4 super shotguns or 4 shells? You get super shotgun, which is 4 undefendable, also hits a demon for 4, or all your demons for 4, and gets flame belch. And it's like, well, it's not even close. This is easier and does way more, right?
Yeah, and then like your board doesn't, like, if you get like, the board feels like too safe for what it is when you have a lot of dice.
Mhm.
It's not particularly interesting when you're at a lot of dice. Like, yeah, you have a lot of things to go for, but you're not gonna whiff.
Yeah.
So what I think personally is like you could actually bump up all of these numbers by like 3. And like that sounds probably crazy because like, oh, 3 A's just to get 8 damage. But the thing is, if you're hitting that ability, you're not hitting the demon that's coming out every single turn, right? And then your opponent gets to hit you back harder. So you're actually falling behind if you just do quote unquote 8 damage, right? Which is funny.
But also it's just funny to have a scene that says deal 13 damage. That's not an ultimate. That's just funny. That's just Doom. Like, that's just Doom Guy.
Yeah,
That
it
just
goes
fucking
wild.
works. That it sounds hilarious, but it's just right.
Yeah, Doom Guy should feel like coherent and capable without being hit by the opponent, and right now he doesn't, right? So what I would personally say is I think that Super Shotgun is fine. It's a very strong ability, but it's okay that it is. But Heavy Cannon needs to fill in a niche of also being strong, right? And right now it's like this is just outclassed. Next, I also think that this is an issue as well. In that the large trait and the mega trait overlap too much. I would personally prefer this as a small.
Yeah, I would go the Hako's Bales route, small versus small, not mega.
Like that way you have something to shoot for if you have like 5 dice. And if you have like a lot of dice, then it's like if you don't get your mega trait, you feel really bad because you if you're risking it on like 7 dice and you don't get it, like man, that's kind of your fault, isn't it? But at least you get the small trait instead of like, oh, okay, the large trait's barely worse, right? Yeah. And I think there's like other things you could change on the board, but I think that's a big thing, right? Like I want the board to feel coherent on a small amount of dice because right now it's just not. And that's like what's really hurting the elegance. Now that doesn't happen too much, and usually it's not the worst thing, but it's mostly just like a missed potential, right?
Yeah. Also, we're not going to comment on the mythic because we don't.
We do not respect Dice Throne adventures in this house.
We are a missions household.
No, we're not. We're an Aeon's End household.
I'm a missions household.
We're gonna play
Let's
Aeon's
slay
End.
this fire mission.
Buy Aeon's End 9 by Indie Boards and Cards. I worked on it. Okay,
Shameless plug. Okay.
this is my
Okay.
channel. I can do
Spoken
what
like
I
a
want.
true content creator, Mr. Derek Dice.
All right. Next up, we have elegance. So does everything on the kit contribute? Like what doesn't? Everything on the kit contributes. Yeah, 15 out of 15 on the elegance. Now there is still like the issue with heavy cannon not being very strong, but it's still like it's not an inelegant ability, and it's mostly just a tuning thing, right? Which goes into your other categories more.
Yeah, everything contributes.
And finally, we have uniqueness. It's 15 out of 15. I think this is obvious. It's 15 out of 15 uniqueness. Like this is a super unique concept, giving your opponent buffs. Like again, same thing with Doom Guy, the kind of quote unquote group hug aspect we don't see a lot of.
You mean Dr. Doom?
Sorry, Doctor.
Also maybe to a lesser extent Shotgun King as well, because his whole thing was giving whole ridiculous passes to the opponent as well.
Yeah, but like this being also themed as like slashing through these demons and like just having this endless wave of mobs to deal with. Like, yeah, you don't even see that, right? Not even counting for the fact that this buffs your opponent. Like, this is just super, super unique and like interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, 98 out of 100. That's really good. Almost perfect. And also we'll note that a big thing is, the cards here are interesting too. Like, holding extra dice to your next turn, adding more. Like, the stuff like saves you from your opponent did a sell ability and now you're at 5 dice sad face. I really like this card because this card I think would be like ill-advised in another kit.
But it like really, really works for some reason.
Yeah, but it works fine
It's like
here
the fact you don't.
because
Yeah.
you don't get a dice, right?
Yeah. So it's actually like a meaningful question.
You lose a whole die.
I don't even know what that means. But whatever.
It's probably a classic reference given the old art.
Who knows? Not my problem. Either way, yeah. Doom Guy, super sick. I think that, like, really, he's making a couple of changes, and, like, this is probably one of the best homebrews. This is really good.
Period.
One of the homebrews ever.
Yeah. Same thing with, like, a lot of these contestants. I think that, like, a lot of these entries have just a lot of potential and, like, super cool, right? It's just that, like, Doom Guy was executed particularly well is the thing.
Yeah.
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 Nova cooked.
What
Nova
are these?
really
What are
fucking
these awards?
Oh
Most
yeah,
like a
yeah,
car
yeah.
and most like a car, which is Gerald's personal word, and
I
activate CJ's neurons, which is my award.
Okay. Most like a car. Why is this like a car? Explain.
take a wild guess. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the guess.
I will guess. I will guess. Don't worry. The guess is that like a car, it makes noises when you hit it, and if you try to fist fight it, you will lose.
Yes. Also, you're going to be running over a bunch of passerbys.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Most like a car in the sense of vehicular manslaughter. Wonderful.
Vehicular demon slaughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also you're hitting the shadow thief
unhuman
behind
slaughter.
them.
Shadow Thief's working for the demons. Frankly, he had it coming.
Well, yeah. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
And for mine, and for actually TJ's neurons, one of the few things I said in my introduction I liked is that I like heroes that let me play more game in my game. And what's more playing more game and more game than just rolling an absolute fuck ton of dice.
Hell yeah.
I'd argue maybe
TJ's an
taking
Ameritrash enjoyer.
extra offensive roll phases, but this is a pretty good close second. And I do not know what the fuck you mean by Ameritrash. I have played like 4 board games total outside of Dice Throne.
All right.
DCC. Roll 100 dice. Roll the rolled value amount of dice. There's your
repeat
number.
this process that many times.
I do not like this concept.
As someone that actually has a passing interest in Googology, I am not 100% objecting to that.
I mean, Walk and I did make the brew that goes up to like 10 billion, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh god, I forgot about the
What
Norp.
brew is that?
Norp Apple.
The Norp
Oh my
Apple
god,
Lock.
Norp.
Okay,
forgot
listen,
about
we got
Norp.
this is the audience is still here. The live studio audience, where you can't brain rot too hard, all right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but yes, that is why I gave it the Activate Teacher Neurons Award. It activates neurons because I roll a bunch of dice. I love Doom as like a series. The music in the game goes insanely fucking hard. Mick Gordon is a savant, like all that kind of shit.
Yeah. So what I will say about this brew is, I think the big thing is you should have more abilities that jump between two dice, right? I think that Super Shotgun had it right, in that like you have one at 4 and one at 6. But like you look at your ultimate, this is at 6 and this is at 5. So it's like if you have 5 6s, then you will have like, you know, let's say you have 5 6s, you have 8 dice. It's pretty normal configuration, lol. Well, then it's like, it doesn't mean a lot if it's like, oh, okay, I have like 8 dice and I need to get to 6. Like, who cares? Right? But if it's like, if it's 4 and 6, then it's more interesting. It's like, oh, okay, so now I can start. Now it's like, if I miss this, it's a much worse ability, so it's just a slightly worse ability. Same thing with like this being a small mega straight. It also hurts in a sense that like it reduces your investment at your high end and your low end, right? Because if you had like 2 lower dice objectives at your low end, then it's like, okay, I can still like reach for something that's nice. And if you aren't using so many of your dice on your high end, and like you're just kind of getting whatever, it's less interesting that way, right?
Yeah, it's a thing you don't think.
Mhm.
Which isn't super Doom guy.
Yeah, so I think less granularity would go a long way because you're getting so many dice that you get a ton of granularity naturally, right? And you have to kind of reintroduce that level of like swinginess that you get from Dice Throne, where like, oh, if I get an A by rolling my 5th dice, I get to do like 15 damage, and otherwise I get to do 3. But yeah, I think that about covers it. So I guess anything else to say about the contest?
We are very
mean,
sorry it took this long to finally
Yeah.
sit down to do
Oops.
these judging. Life has been fucking insane for all of us.
It hasn't been that bad.
I
Um,
was
for me.
too busy playing Doom Guy. I'm sorry.
Too
I was
busy playing the game.
I was
Yeah.
busy starting a new job.
Oh.
I was busy with procrastinating, writing papers.
Yeah,
Real.
Wow.
I was also busy procrastinating. Okay, so that about covers it. And yeah, thank you all for sticking around.
Hell yeah.
Ah!